Appreciate everyone for showing up today. This is wonderful. I get so excited to do these presentations. All right, so I will try to monitor the chat somewhat during the presentation. We will have a Q&A at the end. So if you can always chat your questions, and we have Carolyn on who's going to be compiling questions for us. So you can throw it in there in the chat, or there might even be a Q&A. Well, either one. Just let us know questions that you have throughout, and Carolyn can potentially answer some during, and I will try to get to some as well. But don't be shy, for sure. Okay, so let me go. Here we are. Okay, so hello and welcome officially, and we might have more people join us throughout, but that's totally fine. They'll just jump in when they jump in. My name is Kimmy Vandeweghe, and I am a registered dietitian at Food Smart. Oh wait, let me just click out of. I'm in one other thing that's like beeping at me, so I don't want that to be on. Okay. Hopefully you didn't hear my beeps. Okay. And I have my master's degree in public health and nutrition and dietetics from the University of Michigan. Go Blue! Gotta represent my Michiganders. And also a certified holistic chef from the Natural Gourmet Institute in New York City. So I have some culinary training as well, and love to cook and bake. Love to share meals with friends and family, and just a big foodie overall. So yes, happy to talk about all those things. At FoodSmart, we're committed to connecting people to nutrition support, including a personal dietitian like myself and daily tools to make eating well simple. So let's dive into our topic. I'm just going to check here. Oh, yay for foodies. Yes. I'm trying to do better at checking the chat throughout. All right. So here's today's agenda. First off, we will be defining body image. So, what is body image? Then looking at body positivity versus body neutrality, which may or may not be familiar terms to people here. The media and cultural influence, promoting healthy body image. So we'll talk about maybe some benefits, but some of the negatives, and then we'll hopefully get back to the positives, right, about body image. And then taking up space, and then we'll do more of a Q&A. Okay, so to start off, what is body image? The definition of body image is the thoughts, perceptions, attitudes, feelings, and behaviors around one's physical appearance. It's the way we see our body, think about our body, feel in our body, and how we behave in our body. The way we see our body may or may not be a correct representation of it. So I kind of have this little graphic of a person, yeah, maybe feeling large or feeling like they look larger than they are, or any variety of that. Um, Sometimes our body image during the day is great, but then we catch a glimpse of ourselves maybe in the reflection of a storefront window, the reflection of a car, reflection of, yeah, some kind of a window, right? And all of a sudden we're like, uh, what is that? And our body image can kind of change. So the key with that, I always like to talk about, is our body image can change even if our weight and our shape remain exactly the same. So it really is something that is more of a mental thing, right? I mean, it's very real too, but the fact that it can change without your body changing, I think is a really important thing to keep note of. Sometimes we can over-identify with our physical appearance and forget all the other things that make us who we are. Okay, body dissatisfaction, and then we'll talk some about positive body image on this part. So, body dissatisfaction is overvaluing body image in defining one's self-worth. So this is the concept we kind of just referred to. The way that you see yourself or your body is like related to your self-worth. You don't really think about some of the other things about you. You kind of maybe have a good or a bad day depending on appearance, like how you look or how you feel in your body, or if your clothes fit that day might kind of be how you act that day. It's kind of overvaluing your worth just with appearance. So we can put too much emphasis on our body, and that being the reason maybe we don't feel worthy. We can have persistent negative thoughts and feelings about our body. So those are some of the dissatisfaction. For positive body image, yeah, it can also be a positive thing. This is the ability to accept, appreciate, and respect one's body and the ability to accept your body for maybe all of its limitations that it might have. So it's not that everything is always positive, but we are accepting the limitations. If we wanted to be a basketball player and maybe we're short, we can still think positively about our body, right? Despite our height, we might not, take it personal that our parents aren't Shaquille O'Neal or, a WNBA player. It might just be that genetics for that reason, and we might not want to feel like we have a negative body image just based on something like that. Okay, body positivity and body neutrality. You've probably heard of the body positive movement potentially. That's been around over the years. But have you heard of being body neutral? So this was like a newer concept to me a couple years ago, and now that I've done a little more research around it, so I find it's really, really interesting just to see kind of the shift with it. But sorry, the slide is a little bit wordy, but we'll get through it. So here are some key differences between body positivity and body neutrality. A body positive mindset accepts all bodies regardless of size, shape, skin tone, physical abilities, etc. And beauty doesn't determine self-worth. There is also the notion that you unconditionally love your body and appearance. This is where being body positive all the time can feel unrealistic. It's completely normal to not always love your body. We've heard of, toxic positivity, which I feel like, yeah, I've definitely been a victim of sometimes, and we'll like try to be overly positive, um, but it's not always with bad intentions that, people want to focus on the positives. I think it's great to be a generally optimistic person, right? I think it's a good thing for the most part. However, being a human with a body it's very normal to feel all emotions, happy, sad, anxious, joyful, like a meh kind of feeling. There's room for all emotions. So, of course, we want to think positively more often than not, but the expectation to feel positive 100% of the time isn't always possible. And we don't want to invalidate all other emotions that are completely normal to feel. Being body neutral can be, I think a little bit better way in some ways, to focus on body image. This mindset focuses on acceptance and respect for your body rather than just love. There is space for all emotions towards one's body, and it's the choice to remain neutral about it. The focus is more on the function rather than the appearance of your body. What can your body do? Maybe you run, jump, walk, talk, or maybe you just exist and breathe. And all of those functions, whether big or small, are the focus. However, with the neutral approach, you might miss out on positive feelings about your body. When the focus is neutral, you might not think about your body necessarily as positive. And sometimes it is positive, right? Sometimes you have a day where you're feeling really good about your body and you want to celebrate that. Or you get a new outfit or something and you're feeling really good about yourself and it's okay to be positive, right? So that's something to kind of consider. But yeah, maybe put in the chat if you've heard of body positivity, if you've heard of body neutrality and these kind of concepts around body image. Let's see if anyone, I'll look to see. Yeah, body positive. Yeah, not really heard about it. That's fine. Yeah, yeah, some of these concepts are newer and so all good if you haven't heard, but okay, yeah, some yeses, some nos. Cool. So, oh, more coming in. Yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Well, that's good. I'm glad we're talking about it today then. So, we'll get into I could talk about this for like hours. So I'm not going to don't worry. It won't be hours today, I promise. Um, is being thinner actually healthier, right? We have this age-old question we hear in the nutrition field. Is being in a smaller body actually healthier? We tend to equate being thin with being healthy. So I can pose this question. Is everyone in a thin body healthy? Are there any rates of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, arthritis? Are there any rates of those in thin people? I think we all know the answer is yes. There are people who are. People can be healthy in many body sizes. It's not a clear answer that losing weight will make you healthier. It's not to say that weight loss can't be helpful for some people, but it shouldn't be the only thing we focus on when it comes to health. Health is a lot more complex than our weight. It's about our physical health, of course, but also mental health, sleep quality, healthy relationships, a safe place to live, clean water, access to food, good air quality. The list goes on, really. How we measure health should be as complex as the systems that make up health. If there was a magic weight to be at and all of our health problems would go away, we would already know that by now. If someone has an ear infection, weight loss isn't going to cure it. Unfortunately, for a lot of people in larger bodies, they go to the doctor and are prescribed weight loss for something like an ear infection. It's really sad to hear that our society is still so focused on weight alone, and we know the media and culture we live in has something to do with it. Let me just check if there's any questions here. Yeah, a size six doesn't make you fit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's funny. Um, yeah, yeah, yeah. I love it. Okay, great. Okay, let's take a closer look at the media and what shapes our biases. Okay, our culture is dominated by perfection and obsessed with thinness. Social media, advertisements, magazines, TV shows, movies all influence what we view as the best body or a body to strive for. It's not always so obvious either. It can be filtered images that look completely real, or people can hide the fact that they've had plastic surgeries. It can also be seeing movies or shows where the person in a larger body is always the friend or the funny one and not the main character. Or thinner people might have more likable personality traits, where people in larger bodies might be characters that are more uneducated or less disciplined. We have this constant messaging, whether we realize it or not, that being thin means you are successful and beautiful. And if you are fat, you are lazy and unattractive. These aren't true statements. People can be thin and unmotivated. They can be thin and not work out. They can be in a larger body and be very disciplined. And you can be in a larger body and lift weights, work out, even be an Olympic athlete. We need to shift the narrative that our body size determines all of these other things about us. It doesn't. Our body is just our body size. We can be tall, we can be short, we can have brown hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, or we can have larger or smaller bodies. There are also cultural differences in what the ideal body looks like. In some cultures, being in a larger body signifies richness, health, strength, and fertility. However, as the world becomes more connected, even thin ideals are making their way across the globe. Body ideals, even within the American culture, have changed a lot. And morphing our bodies every few years to fit new ideals isn't healthy. And focusing on what makes us feel our best should really be the goal. I read an article recently too that said body dissatisfaction is actually more the norm now. It's not really the exception. It's most people are kind of at a baseline not satisfied with their body, which I just kind of found crazy and also sad. Like, I want us to reclaim this space where we can have different types of bodies that are celebrated. But yeah, I guess I don't know if people want to put in the chat, but like, any trends that they've noticed with bodies, right? Like, of course you've heard the Brazilian butt lifts, the lip fillers, some people like the muscularity, some people, it's the really, really thin model, like some more of like a Marilyn Monroe, right? Like all of these different body ideals over the years, like have changed so much. So to fit your body into any one of these categories, if your body might be out of style a year later, are you just going to change it? You know what I mean? So it's really focusing on, okay, well, what's the goal here? And if the goal is health and feeling your best and embracing your genetics and what makes you unique, that's, I think, a great place to be. But of course, we do have all these other influences about different body ideas. Oh, the Kardashians, yeah. Different celebrities, right? Different celebrities and what is promoted. Okay, good. Some support on body positivity on TikTok, somebody's saying in the chat. Yes, I'll get to that in a little bit, but there are really great creators out there who are putting content, body positive, body neutral, really kind of reclaiming this space. And yeah, like definitely someone's commenting about, parent, really kind of obsessive with diet culture. Yeah, so that's definitely very common. We'll get to that. Okay, weight bias. Weight bias is a way to define the type of thinking that we just talked about. So, weight bias is a negative attitudes, beliefs, stereotypes, and discriminatory behaviors directed towards individuals based on their body weight or size. It's also preconceptions about an individual's eating habits, exercise habits, and health based on their body. We actually know nothing about what a person eats or how they move unless we ask them. And how does our society contribute to the continuation of this weight bias? That would be more diet culture, which we'll get into in a second. I liked this graphic that I saw because this is kind of a really good visual on weight bias where we see the person in a thinner body and we're making assumptions on what they eat and that it must be, all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the whole grains, fish. We see these different types of food, and then we see somebody in a larger body, and then the assumption there is, fast food, processed meats, soda, sweets, and we know that isn't true, right? It's not. There are people in all bodies that eat a variety of ways, and we know that many people in smaller bodies will also eat some of these foods that are shown in the larger body, and the person in the larger body probably also, eats foods that are shown in the other image. So just to be mindful about our preconceived notions when we're seeing people. And yes, of course, there's always been people, yes, who are eating exceptionally well, and there are people, in larger bodies that might not be, right? There's still those still exist, but just to make that baseline assumption that it's across the board, it just wouldn't be true. So we just want to make sure that we're kind of aware about some of this stuff. Um, okay, I'm looking at the chat. Don't feel wait. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, we'll get more into that. Yeah, large bone structure doesn't mean you're overweight. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think when we talk more about genetic differences too, it's just some people, I think you can really look at some people are built differently than others, right? And fitting into a BMI category for some people might make sense, but for other people who are built differently, it might not make sense to be in a healthy range. That healthy BMI number might be unhealthy for some people who are built differently, maybe more muscle, different body composition, right? They might be in a different category. Doesn't mean they're unhealthy. So yeah, this kind of whole societal, which I can get into on a whole nother topic, but with BMI, it is really doesn't work. It just doesn't work for everybody, and it's really not a good measure of individual health. It was never meant to do that. So I think that's also another contributing factor to some of this stuff. Like, well, we've been labeled as either normal or overweight or obese, and we've used these, as we call them, the O words, obesity, overweight. These O words that they don't necessarily mean you are unhealthy, over what weight, over a weight that was determined by who and for who. So very interesting conversations with that stuff as well. Um, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm laughing at some of the comments too. Okay. So let's define diet culture and understand the diets and trends that impact our health. So, diet culture is a set of beliefs that values thinness, muscularity, appearance, and shape above health and well-being. We might see, people label foods as good or bad, and the promotion of restrictive diets, keto, intermittent fasting, vegan, high protein, low calorie, very, very, very restrictive diets. It isn't to say that someone can't follow a diet for certain reasons, right? For example, some people are vegan or vegetarian for animal rights-based reasons, but others are vegan just to get thin, right? To be smaller. Someone might be allergic to gluten and need to stay away from it, but others might avoid gluten to try to lose weight. There's a difference between the intention. Someone might have a medical condition where they have to watch certain things, right? Like carbs with diabetes. Some people might, yeah, there's just different medical conditions that warrant different diets, but the intention is important. So if you have some medical condition versus, oh, I'm going to be gluten-free because I heard that it is this or that, it may or may not actually make sense, right? And just being very clear about what that intention might be. Oh yeah, that I was going to talk more about. Yeah, there's also a rise of high protein diets or those who overly focus on protein. I've seen a ton of that circulating online right now. As dietitians, we are here to support people in eating all food groups. The macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fat are all equally important. Focusing only on protein might keep us short of our fiber goals. We might still need consistent protein throughout the day, but we also need carbs and healthy fats. Working with a dietitian can help you understand the balance of macronutrients for your lifestyle. You might have heard this analogy before, but diet culture isn't the shark, it's the water. It's not always an easy thing to see or notice as an attack. It's there in more subtle ways and some obvious ways, but a lot of the time we aren't even aware of it. But now that we're talking about it today, maybe you can be more aware of where it shows up for you. So yeah, if you, feel free to participate as much as you want in the chat. But yeah, if you want to put in there if you how diet culture has shown up for you and if you've seen have you guys seen, online high protein or keto or maybe you've tried a lot of them. I mean, I'm totally a victim of it. I before I became a dietitian, I was yeah, I would vegan, pescatarian, all the things just to I was exploring all the different options out there and what that looked like. And now that I've kind of learned a little bit more, I can understand how all of these different food groups are important. But yeah, maybe if you want to share, if you want to share if there's are certain ways it's shown up for you and yeah, and how it's shown up in that way. Okay, let's see here. Um, yeah, oh yeah, like the Clean Plate Club, that thing. Yeah, that's definitely been I remember my grandmother telling me that when I was younger, Clean Plate Club. And yeah, it's not always something that honors hunger cues, right? If you're when you're hungry and full and how you might be more hungry or full at various times. And that whole clean plate club mentality is like, well, regardless of how you feel in your body, you're going to be required to eat everything on the plate. You know what I mean? And sometimes you might have had a snack closer to dinner. You might not be as hungry. Sometimes you might need two servings where you originally were only given one, and you're a little bit more hungry, a bit more active that day. There's a lot of variety in our hunger and fullness, and sometimes restrictive diets or yeah, clean plate club or counting calories. Oh well, I need to eat 600 calories or 500 calories for this meal, and this is the only time that I have to eat it. There's just a lot there. So yeah, I think we can definitely talk about that. Is eating more if hungry? Okay, yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think we'll talk about this in a little bit, but with intuitive eating is kind of a good goal to get to that place for a lot of people where you are really in tune with your hunger. So absolutely. It's kind of like, and I'll make this comparison in a little bit, but it's like maybe typically you go to the bathroom like, I don't know, twice or once an hour, or maybe I don't know, but maybe another day you're drinking a lot of water, you'll have to go to the bathroom a little bit more. You wouldn't like tell yourself, oh, I can only go to the bathroom once during this hour. You wouldn't do that. So you would listen to your body's sensation, like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom. I'm gonna go. So the same thing goes with food. If you are hungry, then honoring that. And then working with a dietitian would help just to look at, okay, why are you hungry, right? When was the last time you ate? Was when the last time you ate, did you have, protein, fiber, complex carbohydrates? What kind of foods did you have? If you just had coffee, well, yeah, you're going to be pretty hungry, I'd say. So let's, we can kind of look at reasonings on maybe, oh yeah, maybe you were really active, you're in the garden, you're doing some physical labor, appetite might be a little bit higher. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I might need a little bit more than normal today. Hormonally, maybe you need a little bit more. There's a lot going on with people. So, yeah, there could be a lot of reasons to it. And if you're feeling like overly hungry all the time, yeah, that would be something to talk about with the dietitian to see, okay, like what's going on medical condition wise, medication wise, and what's your eating schedule look like? How frequently are you eating? What kinds of foods? Are you hydrated? There's a lot there that can affect our hunger and fullness. So we could definitely get into it. You shouldn't be hungry like every second of every day. After you eat, you should feel full and satiated, right? So there's probably something going on where we can work on that. Okay. The impact. So, we know having body dissatisfaction isn't a good thing, but it's not just about feeling bad about ourselves. It's not like having bad body image is just people moping around, upset with how they look. There are real health impacts that can manifest from having poor body image. Weight bias alone affects people in larger bodies going to the doctor to get proper medical care. They might be embarrassed to get on the scale. Even people in normal weight ranges don't like it. Someone in a larger body might wonder if the scale can even measure their weight. Does the blood pressure cuff fit their arm? Is there a comfortable seat without armrests so that there is room to feel comfortable? Will the doctor just talk about weight loss instead of listening to real concerns? Poor body image increases the risk for eating disorders. When the world is telling us our body is too big, we seek to change it. That is where diet culture comes in, and we hop on the latest trend promising to shed 15 pounds in 15 days, something we don't recommend. We might innocently start a diet, but then get overly obsessed with making sure we are only eating approved foods. And next thing you know, we are skipping dinner dates with friends, making sure to eat before going to events when we don't know what food will be served, or allowing cheat days where we overindulge on foods until our stomachs hurt. This cycle causes more harm on the body than simply being larger. The isolation that comes from strict dieting can affect us long term, and neglecting mental health for physical health can only get you so far. Okay, let me just check if there's any. Yeah, yeah, people are feeling that way at the doctor's office as well. And yes, okay. It happens, yeah, it can happen to a lot of people. Not just, it can probably happen, I mean, I'm sure it happens to people in thin bodies as well, and all bodies to feel some sense of like discomfort in those medical settings. So that would be normal. Okay, so a lot of the negative talk behind us. How can we promote positive body image and enjoy ourselves? So I kind of mentioned this a bit earlier, intuitive eating. So intuitive eating is a great approach shown to improve body image and lessen the risk for eating disorders. There's a lot of good information online with intuitive eating. They have a website, and I think it was started by two dietitians, I believe, and one of their names is Evelyn. I can't remember the other one's name. They're great resources on the website that you can get more information on. In addition to working with a dietitian, obviously we can go more detailed one-on-one, but that's a good place to start too. If you just Google intuitive eating, they should have information. There's also a book and a workbook. So if you're ever interested in doing more of this work, that would be a good place to look to. So, just as we can feel our body sensation that when we're tired, we listen to our body, right? We're tired, we can go to bed, we can take a nap. The same thing I described earlier. If we feel like we have to go to the bathroom, we go, right? We listen to our body sensation and we do. So, when we're hungry, we should also listen to that. We can be so accustomed to ignoring hunger cues when we're on a diet, we forget that hearing our hunger is actually a good thing. We should feel hungry because we are all alive. Honoring our hunger is important to be an intuitive eater. It doesn't mean we only eat chocolate chips all day. We still think about balanced meals with all food groups. Um, Eating perfectly isn't the key to health. I think that's a really important point because a lot of us, I think, can be perfectionists sometimes. Eating balanced and including things that you enjoy are part of a healthy life. We can make room for all foods as an intuitive eater. And of course, all foods like, if you're allergic to something, we don't want to do that. If you have a condition where you can't have certain things, but like within the scope of what you can do, we should include many different types of things. If we've been on a diet before, we might hear a voice in our head when we reach for a cookie. Oh, that's bad. We shouldn't eat that. Or it might be more subtle and we're reaching for maybe like a banana or a piece of fruit and we've heard someone online that says, "Oh, fruit has too much sugar. You shouldn't eat that." And first, what we want to do is recognize that voice in your head. Is that accurate? Is that an accurate statement? Should we really not have those things, right? And and know that that's just a voice in your head that you can actually decide what you want to do. Do I want to listen to it or do I not want to listen to it? Let's try and separate it out. So we can simply tell that voice, you're wrong, and I'm going to eat the banana because, as we know, fruit has fiber, lots of vitamins, nutrients that we need, right? We don't want to avoid eating fruit. We can also do things like eating fruit with protein so that it doesn't spike our blood sugar as much, especially if we're watching our blood sugar. Maybe we don't want to eat, 5 bananas on an empty stomach. Okay, yeah, maybe it's a little a little high in sugar, but if we're pairing it with some peanut butter, if you're able to eat that or something else with protein, then we can have the banana and we don't see any issue there. There's just a lot more gray area to it than saying, "Oh, I'm not going to eat fruit because of sugar." That's a really blanket statement that wouldn't be true. So, this intuitive eating is kind of understanding that we might hear these voices in our head from the media, from what we heard online, from friends, from family. They might have good intentions. They might not be trying to do it cause harm, right? But it might actually be something we don't want to listen to. And maybe you want to listen to a dietitian, please, and then we won't have to, yeah, then we won't have to do that. So, we also know sometimes when we feel strong emotions that we might want to reach for food for comfort. There isn't anything inherently wrong with wanting comfort from food. It's just that we don't want to only choose food when we feel strong emotions. We want to work through these emotions and not just cover them up. However, if you're going through a breakup, you want some ice cream, it's okay. But maybe there are other ways to work through the emotions too. So both can exist. It's just not like every single time we're feeling something strongly with an emotion that we have to reach for something. It's some of the time, sure, it's not a problem. But yeah, we don't want to have a relationship with food where it's only these times, right? And we're only reaching for comfort. We also need to respect the body we have. If we have a size 8 shoe, why would we be mad at our feet for not fitting into a size 6? Respect your genetics and the body you're given. At the end of the day, we want to make food choices that honor our well being, taste buds, and culture. Culture is a big one because food is more than just nourishment, it's about family and connection. Eating the foods our parents and grandparents ate can connect us. Many types of cultural foods are healthy foods, and making sure we fit those into our lives is very important. Strict diets can strip us away of our culture, and intuitive eating is here to make sure your food is representative of you. Oh, yes, thank you. Someone put in the chat the intuitive eating book, and that's great. Perfect. So, also, if you want to put in the chat, if you're, and I'll try and look through Doctor. Yeah. Okay, cool. I was just looking to see if there are any main questions, but yeah, I think I mentioned most of them. Okay, yeah, emotional eating. Yeah, yeah. If you're bored, yeah, exactly. So sometimes I work with people on having a list of things that bring you comfort and joy and food can be on there. Food absolutely can be. But what are some other things that bring you comfort and joy and happiness that we can reach for, right? Listening to a favorite song, watching your favorite YouTube video, calling a friend. There's a lot of things out there and sometimes we do need to just have the food too. So, oh yeah, cultural food, someone said, is collard greens and change the way that they cook them to be a healthier fit. So great. Absolutely. I think, yeah, if you want to put in if there's any foods that you've been avoiding because, any cultural foods that are important to you that you've been avoiding, like let's talk about it. Yeah, if you want to talk about how to eat them in a way that can work with being on a healthy lifestyle, right? So yeah, I can try and help with some of that, or we can talk more about it at the end as well with just what foods maybe you grew up eating that you've been avoiding because it's not healthy. I know my mom made a taco dip, a really good taco dip, but had a lot of cream cheese, so I really just swapped it for some just like a low fat, even if it's a simple swap like that, like a low fat cream cheese and adding a little more salsa, adding some more veggies instead of just lettuce. I added like red pepper, green pepper, kind of doubled the amount of lettuce on it, So there's ways to just do small tweaks where instead of like having a large cream cheese section, there's other things on it too. You know what I mean? So it's not that you can't have it. So I miss bread and pasta. Someone said, yeah, bread, all the carbs, right? So I guess it depends if you have a gluten allergy or not, or what your situation is. But there are ways where, yeah, like not that it's always the same, but if you want to just have like a half of a bagel, right? Or they have like the bagel thins to still enjoy things like that. They have so many different types of pasta now, like chickpea pasta. Some brands are doing a high protein with some added pea protein in there as well. So there's lots of pastas out there that maybe could fit into your days. I notice with chickpea pasta being high protein, if you're making it in a casserole or something with lots of sauces, I really can't tell the difference. Obviously, if you're eating chickpea pasta plain, it does taste different. Absolutely, I'm not going to tell you it doesn't, but you might like it also. Or if it's in a casserole setting, you probably won't notice it. And then there are other brands that just add protein, or it's a whole grain pasta. Some people might not like a whole grain, but there are other options there too where we can maybe try to include it, or just doing a different portions where we're having a smaller portion of pasta, but then we're upping what we're eating it with. Are we upping the veggies, upping the protein a bit so that the carbs are still there and we still have a full bowl? We've made a lot of food, but the pasta portion is just not going to be as big. So, yeah, chickpea pasta tastes like glue to me. Oh, that's funny, Lori. Yeah, it's not for everybody, and there's so many things out there now. I think I was at the store recently, and it looked like a pretty normal pasta brand. I cannot tell you what it was, but it just had protein on the front, so they must add protein. So there's just other things. Yeah, quinoa people are talking about. Okay, let's see. Oh, yeah, yeah, people bring you cakes, cookies, and donuts. Yeah, okay, that happens, and I think yeah, just go ahead and if you yeah, oh, maybe you can bring some other things or just have one cookie and try to let other people have it. Or great idea is to utilize your freezer. If you have, especially cookies, I don't know if it works. It might work for certain types of donuts, maybe like a cake donut. But cakes should work too. If you kind of like cut up slices and you put it in the freezer in like individual servings, you can pull it out later so that you don't feel like you're wasting it, but you don't have to eat it all. Cookies freeze really well too, and you can heat those up, which is pretty good. So, lactose intolerant, love to find a mac and cheese recipe. Oh, yeah, that's a tough one for sure. It just depends on the degree of lactose intolerance, right? With different low lactose options or the vegan cheeses, right? They might not taste exactly the same. There are a couple brands that are pretty good. I found Violife, Violife, I think, Violife. I found that one's pretty good. There's also some more mac and cheese recipes that use kind of like a cashew-based cheese sauce. Yeah, and I think there's some brands out there that are trying to do dairy-free, like even like a boxed mac and cheese. So yeah, we can definitely talk about that. There's it's not, I can't say I've tried all of them yet, the dairy-free ones, but I've definitely tried some of them. Okay, yeah, red lentil pasta, someone said they like, yeah, lentils, those are great too. Yeah, another person, yeah, chickpea pasta, it's very polarizing. Some people love, some people hate. It's all good. Okay, someone's commenting Barilla, is it Berea? I could be saying that wrong. Yes, I've seen the brand, but can't say I've said it out loud until right now. So yeah, protein on the front of the box. So definitely just check the labels. And then someone said zoodles. Yeah, of course. Or you could do even like half zoodles, half spaghetti, where you feel like you get that. Because sometimes it is just the amount of food. We want to have and feel like we're eating a lot or a good portion, right? But if we can do like half zoodles and half spaghetti, that can be a nice way to add more too. Someone said goodles. I've tried those. Those are pretty good. Um, yeah, yeah, I know. Oh, yeah. Oh, someone said with, yeah. Okay. I cut up cake in service size, wrap. Oh, in serving sizes, wrap separately and freeze. Perfect. Yeah, I like it. That's great. Someone's mentioning Kite Hill. That's a really good dairy-free cheese brand. So yeah, Kite Hill is I've had their ricotta. It's really good. So Trader Joe's, someone's mentioning, has a cashew cheddar. Great. Perfect. And let's see. I don't get hungry until around noon. That's when I start eating. Yeah, breakfast. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Perfect. Breakfast, let's see. Yeah, it is important to eat, I would say, earlier in the day, and we can talk about reasons like potentially if you're just having coffee, you might, not have your hunger cues. So, coffee is an appetite suppressant. So, sometimes working with athletes, we have to be mindful about eating before coffee or just having coffee with food because you might not feel like it. But anyway, okay, let me finish the presentation and then we will get into all of the rest of the questions. Thank you everyone for all of your engagement. I love it. So, okay, let's see if I wanted to say anything else about this one. Oh, I didn't. Okay, we're good. Next one, mindful eating. Mindful eating goes hand in hand with intuitive eating. It's important to avoid distractions and be present with the food in front of you. Creating an eating environment that is pleasant can go a long way. Sometimes that means avoiding watching TV, loud music, being on our phones, or working while eating. These things can distract us from noticing when we might feel full. We can look at our plate and think, where did my food go? If we're really focused on the next episode of our favorite show, we can be really tuned out of the eating experience. It doesn't mean we need to eat alone with no music or TV, but we want to be mindful about it. When you sit down to eat, look at the food. Notice the different colors, textures. When you take a bite of food, notice the temperature. Is it hot? Is it cold? Does it taste salty, sweet, savory? Really take the time to taste your food. Taking your time to eat can also help your body feel full. If we shove our entire dinner down in 5 minutes, well, then we might continue to overeat a bit. So the mindful eating, I know it's really hard sometimes, but it doesn't have to be 100% of the time. But if for the most part we can try to take our time and avoid distractions and yeah, enjoying meals with other people and talking is okay and stuff like that, but just really taking your time to enjoy and taste the food that you're eating. Okay, we can't control the latest magazine cover or advertisement that will tell us to go on the latest weight loss medication or diet. However, we can control who we follow on social media. There are great accounts out there, like I know we talked about earlier. Some people have found good things online. I think if you probably hashtag body neutral, body neutrality stuff would come up. There are food accounts that promote eating all food groups, listening to our hunger and fullness cues, and eating food that is culturally relevant for us. You can also search like hashtag intuitive eating, things like that. There are even settings on Instagram where you can turn off ads in the category of body weight control. So if you can search that on Google how to turn off body weight control on Instagram and there's like a tutorial that will take you through on settings and then you can turn off advertisements that relate to body weight control, which I think is, I mean, it's a step in the right direction. Practice body neutrality. We can take steps to respect our bodies for what they do for us and be grateful for that. We can work with a dietitian and therapist to both improve our relationship with food and also tackle the negative thoughts that show up. Journaling is another tool that might help improve body image. Write down things you love about yourself that aren't tied to your physical appearance. All right, and here's this little meet your dietitian. So, dietitians can work with you on not only the food you eat, but how you listen to hunger and fullness, how to view food as nourishment, how to incorporate food in a balanced way, all the food groups. There's just a lot out there. So, it can be really overwhelming. So, if you are able to meet with a dietitian and or work with us at Food Smart, you can definitely check us out and let us know if we can work with you on it. And also, yeah, we'll have more webinars, or this will be recorded if you want to reference it back. We mentioned the intuitive eating resources as well. Taking up space. Okay, so sometimes we can think about the needs of others before our own. If you've heard about the airplane analogy, I'm going to bring that one up now. You need to put on your own oxygen mask before helping others. We need to show up for ourselves, but mostly we need to feel like we deserve to. Taking up space in this sense means that you deserve to live your life to the fullest. Um, Now I lost my place. Regardless of the body you're in. There are so many great things about you that have nothing to do with how your body looks. In conclusion, this is the time to think about how your body image affects your life. What areas do you want to improve? How can we focus on living life to the fullest? What things do you avoid doing because of how you view your body? Some people, I don't like to get in a swimsuit, I don't want to swim, but I really enjoy it. Okay, let's work through it. What can make you feel more confident in swimming, right? But it's a very real thing too, right? It's very real that people are maybe going to look, and we live in this culture, so I get that too. But we want to make sure we're trying our best to do what we want to do in our life. Now is the time to take even small steps towards improving your body image because you deserve it. All right, so I know yeah, we have about 11 minutes here, but if you have more questions, thank you so much for listening. That was really fun to kind of go through and see the engagement from everybody here. feel free to keep writing any questions. I'll try to get to as many as possible. Otherwise, you are free to go. And thank you so much for coming and check us out, foodsmart.com, if you would like to work with us. But yeah. Okay, someone said swimming. I got swim shorts and a tankini top. Yes, absolutely. And yeah, thank you everybody so much. So, yes, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I mean, I know a lot of people wear even just sun protection shirts now, so I don't know, feel like people don't look at it in a negative way. Body image for, yeah, people maybe with disabilities, absolutely. And that kind of inclusion is really important. Having spaces that are inclusive, right? And in a doctor's office and medical settings, absolutely. The recording of this, I think, will be on our YouTube. Carolyn might be able to message. I think it should, as soon as we can get it turned around. So it could be as early as tomorrow or later this week that we'll have the recording up. So thank you all. But yes, I think the body image with disabilities is that you're up against more, right? You have your own just the body stuff, and then also working through what the disability may be. So that's a really intersection that has an increased risk of people feeling negative, right? So okay, someone said, yeah, with diabetes, can't eat a lot of things because of the sugars. So, yeah, that would be something with a dietitian to work through, but pairing protein foods with carbs to help balance blood sugar and then just monitoring carbs throughout the day because we still need carbs, right? We still need them even with diabetes. We just don't want to overdo it in one sitting. So, okay, let's see. Oh, someone mentioned this was from earlier, Dreamfield's low glycemic index pasta. Okay, cool. Um, I eat healthy snacks until I'm not hungry, not full, multiple times a day, rarely eating a large meal. So yeah, that can definitely um work with. Okay, yeah, and Jody, yeah, if you want to message or there if there's a way you can maybe click when you're scheduling with FoodSmart if we work with your insurance, you can if you can find my name, I'm happy to work with you or I can try and help you find a dietitian that works more with body image. Some of us work more than others in that area. So okay, great. Let's see. Thanks everyone. Okay,
And
great.
then quickly, I'm going to jump in.
Thank
Kimmy, thank you. That was so wonderful. There's been a lot of
you,
people really
Carolyn.
using your engagement and energy, which is fantastic. A couple of things came through the formal Q&A, so I just want to quickly be sure we touch
Yes.
on those. Society, so this is from an anonymous attendee, but it's a great question. Society shuns body changes as we age, especially entering our 50s. How can we calibrate our thinking as an individual going through these natural changes?
Wow, that's such a great question. And my lived experience as a 30 something, not quite at that stage, but also at the stage where, yeah, not in my 20s anymore either. So, how to navigate the aging process, especially it comes back to in our culture and society where, especially uh, people, women, I would say, especially, have a hard time aging in this country, right? We're constantly looked at, but all ages, I mean, not all ages, well, all ages and however someone identifies, absolutely. So I think the best thing we can do is the mindset of gratitude for the aging process and how we are the lucky ones that get to age. I know it's easier said than done, but following celebrities that are choosing to embrace aging as well. I think Sarah Jessica Parker, I'm trying to think of other celebrities it's not a lot, right? That are trying not to get all the plastic surgery just to show that aging is completely normal and a privilege. But yeah, that's a really big one. But those are the two tidbits I'd say for now.
Awesome. Thank you. And then we had a few women who were sharing that, perimenopause is, quote, wreaking havoc on me right now. And going through this is obviously not helping in the relationship to image and food. What would you say to those ladies?
Totally. That stage of life absolutely is natural where your body starts to kind of shift where our fat stores go and that process isn't always fully controllable, right? You might be used to your body storing fat in certain ways and then as we age that kind of shifts and it's kind of a natural shift. And then hormonal balance, right? Like trying to get this consistent protein plus carb throughout the day, high fiber, these types of things that can help. And then there's some kind of specifics I'm sure we can go into with certain vitamins and nutrients that are more specific. But as far as the consistency where the hormone balance comes in is not going too long without eating, where you get that dip in blood sugar, that rise that we kind of see tied to some kind of hormonal balance as well. But yeah, that one is a big, big question. We should probably do a full presentation on it, I'm thinking. So that's a
I
really,
love it.
yeah.
And then another one around this came from Desley. Her question is that, what are your thoughts on the balanced plate method?
Oh yeah, balanced plate method. So that, yes, I think there's good things about, you probably heard for people who don't know, like the healthy plate, or I think it's myplate.gov where you kind of have it separated. We work a lot with kind of, yeah, half of the plate being non-starchy vegetables, kind of I like to say like fruits and vegetables, a big portion, and then a quarter of the plate protein, a quarter of the plate like a starch or a carb. And that can be helpful without counting calories, just to think about volume of food, where instead of having like your meat be the main portion, having like a side salad or a side of broccoli, kind of switching the portions around, where you're having a large portion of broccoli, large side salad, and then a smaller but like a good portion of protein, and then a smaller carb, can be a nice way to make sure you're hitting your fiber goals, but also paying attention to hunger cues. If you're still hungry after something like that, you could either eat more frequently, have a snack, 2 hours before a meal if it's going to be more veggie heavy. There can be ways to kind of manipulate it, or ways to increase protein, but I think it can be a really great mindset shift as far as our American culture goes, where our carbs and protein tend to be really high and our fiber tends to be pretty low.
Yeah, that's great. And then what about maintaining muscle mass as you age too? So Lisa commented that at 60 muscle mass is maintaining that is a challenge.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've heard that as well. And your muscle definitely also will decline as we age. It happens to all of us, and it will. But yes, if you're able to weight lift, or just some kind of weight bearing activity, exercise to really help, but also the consistent protein, and meeting with a dietitian, or we can work on specifically what your protein needs are based on your age, and your height and weight. We can kind of get a sense of how much protein you should be eating and how to kind of divide that. We don't want to overly focus on it, like I said earlier, but we do want to ensure you're hitting your protein goals, because they do increase as you age. So we do want to make sure you're hitting those to help with muscle.
Okay, great. That's it for the official Q&A. So if anyone else has questions, feel free to drop them in the chat for Kimmy.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And I'm sorry if I can't get to everyone's, but um, yes, hyperactive, need help. Diabetes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, with thyroid. Thyroid stuff can be, yeah. Thyroid stuff, making sure you're on the right like medications with your doctor, and then also, yeah, working with a dietitian on hitting specific nutrients and stuff like that. But I think a lot of it, as far as what I can say to a group of people, would be baseline hitting fiber goals, hitting protein goals, trying to get that consistency with our hormonal balance. And then, yeah, with exercise, with the weightlifting, with the muscle, keeping muscle on, even if it's light weights or squatting, or, whatever you're able to do. There's so many things. It doesn't have to be stereotypical, like we're bench pressing, it can be a lot of different things. So we can definitely work on that. But let's see if there's any other ones I'm missing. Yeah, other people's opinion of me is none of my business. Yes, I love that. I think that's a good one. But yeah, I think the menopause ones, there's lots of really great, uh, there is a lot of information out there, and it's a really understudied group too. So we really need to get some more research in the nutrition area for menopause. So yeah, and I'll have to educate myself more specifically in menopause as well. I know there are some dietitians at Food Smart that work more closely with that population too, but we can definitely get some more information for you guys on that. It sounds like a really important topic, and it's a really needed area for us to talk about. So I think that could be something for the future too. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I'll probably have to end it there.